Are you frustrated with the Garmin R50's built-in putting feature? Let's face it, it stinks. But don't worry, because today I'm going to show you how to add webcam putting to your Garmin R50 using Springbok's Connector. This setup will completely transform your indoor golf game, giving you smooth and accurate putting that works seamlessly with GSPro. Stick around to learn how to set it up step by step and see it in action. Smash that like button if you're tired of bad putting features, and subscribe for more golf tech tips. Before we begin, let's talk about why you need this feature. The Garmin R50, while fantastic with full shots and chips, when it comes to putting, its built-in feature, it's unreliable. It often misreads putts, it doesn't handle short distances well, and it's just unreliable and lacks the precision you need to play a game like GSPro or a competitive tour. But with this seamless solution and connector, we bypass all of those issues and we transform your sim game to a whole new level. Here's what you need to get started. A 60 FPS webcam. This will capture smooth putts without any lag. A USB 3.0 or an active/powered USB 3.0 cable, depending on the distances. This is for smooth data transfer. A colored golf ball, typically yellow or orange for smooth tracking. A USB to HDMI capture card. This allows your PC to display the Garmin R50's data. An HDMI cable to connect your Garmin R50 to the capture card. And last, the Springbok free GSPro Connector. And don't worry, I'll link all of these items in the description to make it super easy for you. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is get our Garmin R50's external display onto our PC. Here's how. We're going to take the HDMI cord, plug it into the back of our Garmin R50. We're going to plug the other end of the HDMI cord into our USB screen capture device, and we'll plug that device into the back of our computer. Let's get that all set up quick so we can get the Garmin R50 information onto our computer screen. So there we have it. We're plugged in, hooked up, and we've got the display from the Garmin R50 on our PC. You can see the Garmin R50 right there. Next, we need to go into practice mode, because practice mode is the mode we're going to use when we use this connection to the computer. We're going to go into practice mode, and we're going to output the data tiles onto our PC's screen. So if I go down here and I click on practice mode, and we just want to choose the distance range, this is where you can align your unit prior to play. I'm not going to do it right now, but you know how to do that. And we're going to do ball and club data, and we're going to hit start session. Here, it does not matter what club we choose. I'm just going to choose 7-iron. It doesn't record that. And what we need to do is our external display. If we click the display options, we need our external display to be the data fields. Further, we need to customize the external display data fields. We want them in this order: club speed, ball speed, smash factor, club path, launch direction, launch angle, club face, face to path, spin axis, spin rate, attack angle, carry deviation, side spin, back spin, total carry distance, and then total carry. I'll leave that screenshot up on the screen here. You can pause it and make sure you get yours in that same order. Last, we can go back to our R50 display, and your R50, you can just have that display whatever you'd like. I have it displaying the club information and the replay of the shot. But that part will not matter. We just need our external display to show the data tiles. So when we hit a shot, let me show you. The data tiles that show up on our computer, which is my projector screen right now, have data. That's what we want. Okay, so now where is that information displaying on your computer? I showed it on my screen already, but how you'll find this is the USB capture card will show up as a camera device on your computer, technically. So I will just go to the start menu and we'll type in camera. We'll open up the camera app. And if you have to cycle through cameras on this top right area up here, this one, as I cycle through it, it will find the different cameras. It will be one of the cameras that you have inside of your camera app. So hit this cycle button until you find the USB-C camera that is associated with your USB-C device. There's my webcam putting camera. And there's the USB-C camera, which is the Garmin's external display. It's just coming in through the camera app. And the reason it was important to put the data in the right order for your external display is because we will use this data here to send it into GSPro for both our full shots, and we'll override this when we use webcam putting. Next, we're going to download Springbok Connector. I have the link in the description. You'll see all these files. What I want you to do is on the top right, this is the beta version. Hopefully it'll be in a stable release soon. When it gets to stable release, you're just going to go, again, that link will be in the description, but you're just going to type in Springbok, GitHub, GSPro Connector, and it'll be the top one on that link, and you'll go to GitHub, and all you'll worry about is releases. Release v1416 is the latest public stable release. What we're going to be using today is a beta release, and I'll provide the link for the beta. When the public comes out, I'll let you know. But for now, we're using the beta 1.4.19. We're going to download all of these files. We hit the download button. Once those are downloaded, we will open that up in our downloads folder. From our downloads folder, we're going to right click that file we just downloaded, and we're going to choose extract all. I'm going to extract those right into the same folder for the moment. I'll go back into my downloads folder, and the one that doesn't have the .zip on it, just the plain old file, that one I'm going to want to drag onto my desktop. That will be the connector we are going to get set up. It is 1.4.19. Okay, once on our desktop, I want to rename this one Garmin to GSPro Connector. I'm actually going to change it from MLM2 Pro to Garmin R50 GSPro Connector V19. All right, let's open up that file. Let's right click our executable file, and I want to go to show more options, and I'm going to select create shortcut. I'm going to take that shortcut file that and I'm going to drag that onto my desktop. That will now become our startup file for the connector. It's important we don't take this file out and put it on our desktop, because all these files need to stay in the same folder for this to work. So keep those all together in this folder. If you want a file for your desktop to run, just create a shortcut and drag that onto your desktop. So I'm going to rename this one Garmin R50 GSPro Connector 1.04.19. So that's my start. That becomes my startup file. Now, if you've already used webcam putting with another device, which maybe you have or haven't, this is where you could copy your config.ini file right into this spot, and that would overwrite all the webcam settings that you have to do. I'm going to set this one up from scratch. So we'll start the connector as if it were the first time we've ever opened it. Double click. When you double click, you're going to get a pop-up. Disclaimer, at your own risk, but this is not a licensed Windows app, so you have to click the little button and then click run anyway. Basically explaining somebody else coded this program. We can't, tell you what it's going to do or not do. And when you open up the connector, you're going to get this screen here. So what we need to do first is we need to go up to our settings gear, and we need to change the settings from the Rapsodo MLM2 Pro to the Garmin R50. This is the time we could link our GSPro apps. Let's do that. We'll click on this GSPro path. I'm going to choose Browse, and it is going to be in C, GSPro V1, Core, GSP, and GSPro.exe. That's the path right there. For now, I'm going to leave Auto Start All Apps off. And for default OCR device, we're going to leave that blank for the moment. We'll be back to it. I'm going to hit Save, hit OK, and Close. Now you can see it says Garmin R50 Launch Monitor up here. Okay, next we want to get the Garmin R50 added as a device. We're going to click on this little phone. That's the Devices tab. And I'm going to rename this very first device. It's called Android, so I'll select Android by clicking on it here. And I'll go over, and I'm just going to call this Garmin R50. And for the window title, this second spot, we're going to hover over our camera window that we have open with our Garmin R50 data on it. When I hover over this window title, the bottom here, we can see that the title of the window is camera, just CAMERA. We need that to match exactly. And if we wanted to, we can click this display all windows, and we can see one of the windows is camera, CAMERA. So that's the one we want. We're going to type camera because that's the window I'm using to get the data in to my computer. Mirror application path, we won't need this. It will be the camera app, which will open manually. So now we've made the device. We've called it Garmin R50. Camera is the window, and I hit save. So now our very first device is Garmin R50 camera. I'm going to hit close. Okay, so next we're going to go up into the putting settings, which is this little putter club with the flag. And in the putting settings, we want to start with putting system. We're going to choose webcam. This auto start camera app doesn't apply because we are using webcam putting, not XPut. These are only XPut settings, so ignore these right here. Ignore these ROIs that are here as well. Webcam settings, camera ID. This is where we need to know our camera ID. And if you don't know it, you can simply click through these till you find your proper camera ID. When you start webcam putting up, it'll pop up with a window. If it's not the right camera, you'll try a new camera ID. Start with 0, go to 1, then 2, till you get the right webcam that you're using. Ball color, I'm going to use yellow, but we're going to change all that anyway. Auto start the ball tracking app, yes. Putting window, I want the focus to be GSPro, so when I putt I can use an aimer. And the putting window, we can send it to the back or we can minimize it. I'm just going to put minimize on mine and click save and okay. Okay, so the first thing we want to do now is we need to set up our device. We need to choose our device. And what I want to do first is get my camera window or my display from the Garmin up and on the screen. And I want to maximize that to its largest size. That gives me the biggest number tiles to use. I'm then going to go back into my Springbok Connector and we're going to go to device. And I'm going to check the Garmin R50 and we need to set up the ROIs for it. So I'm going to click ROIs, that's regions of interest. When you click that, it's going to say, before you do this, make sure you hit a shot. It wants numbers on the screen. I've already hit a shot, so there is numbers on the screen. We're going to click OK. And I'm going to maximize this window as well. And what it wants us to do is drag these around. So just like it shows here, this one says face to path in red. I want to drag this window so it just gives me only the number and the letter, maybe the L or the R on each of these. And I'll do this quick, fast forward through it so that you can see how that looks. Face to path. Okay, so I've got the squares in generally the right area. I'm going to hit save. And I'm going to click verify. And then I'm just going to check and see, do these match the numbers on the screen? So ball speed 66.1. Yep. 49.85 for spin. Yes. Spin axis 3.5. Yes. And go down the line 55, 55.3. If something didn't match, we would want to adjust the box slightly so that it got the right number. Side note, currently attack angle is dropping this decimal point. That's probably going to be fixed in the next beta. But these match, these work. I can use these. If something was off, you may sometimes have to come back in and make a box slightly smaller. Or if you accidentally included like the RPM down below, that might do it. Or if on a 10,000 RPM shot, maybe it needs to be a little wider because you made it too narrow when the ball speed was low or the RPMs were low. So anyways, we'll save those. You only got to do this once it's set up, and then we'll hit close. Now we can actually select our Garmin R50 because the regions of interest have been set up. So I'm going to select it. Okay. Next, we're going to launch GSPro. So you'll go down and you'll open up GSPro. I've already got it running. Once it's running, you're going to get this open API window. You need to have GSPro in the open API mode where you're going to get the open API connector. And we can then hit connect. When we do that, you're going to see this bar turned green up top and this connected. And we are now connected to GSPro. We could hit full shots. We do not have webcam putting running, but we could go in and we could hit full shots. And when we do, it's going to read those data points from the camera app and send them into GSPro. All right, let's give it a shot just to show that we're connected. Shot taken, the numbers are sent to the on-screen display, into the game by the connector. Now, for the exciting part, the webcam putting. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult and arduous to set up. I do have videos on how to do it, but I'll go through setting up my webcam putting setting here really quickly. So we need to go in and select the right camera, which I've selected 00. 0 is the correct camera for me. I'm going to click save on that, and we're just going to hit start on the webcam putting. It's going to open up a little black window for you and the webcam putting window itself. So we've got the right webcam. I need to open up the connector file from my desktop because this webcam is right now getting 30 frames per second, and I need to get 60 frames. On this webcam, it is only 60 frames at 720p. So I'm going to go into my config.ini file, which is right here. First, I'm going to hit Q on this webcam window to close out of it. And I'm going to hit stop on the connector. So stop the webcam putting. I want to open up the config.ini file, and I want to open it up in Microsoft Note. When I open up the config.ini file, a few things got to change for me. I need 60 frames per second, so I'm going to go 60, and I know mine only gets 60 frames at a height of 720 and a width of 1280. So we'll save that really quick, and I will close out of it. And now when we start the webcam, I should have the correct height, width, and frame rate. We'll see if that happens. We get our black webcam box to start, and now our webcam's opening up here. Yep, there we go. So now we've got the correct dimensional properties to get 60 frames per second. Okay, so I've minimized all the other windows. And so I've got webcam putting here. This black window is just a status window telling you what webcam putting is doing. We're going to need to set up our webcam putting. The A key, lowercase a, and again, there's other videos out there that will show you these things. Gives you a few things. You have your camera properties, which are here. You have your webcam window settings. Those are the two things that are going to come up. So it's the advanced settings along with your camera properties window. A few things to note on here. I always try to use as little gain as I possibly can. But on the camera control tab, typically our zoom is all the way out. Our focus auto is fine, but if you zoom that all the way out, it's typically okay as well. And exposure, sometimes exposure is all you need to click in order to get the frame rate to go up. See, once I checked auto exposure, it's popping up to 60 frames per second now. If I uncheck that, you can also get it there sometimes by just lowering the exposure to anything lower than -5. So -5, it's going to drop my camera frames down. I'm trying to get too much brightness. So you do need a little bit of lighting in the room and consistent lighting around the ball. But if we go -6 here, or even if I just go auto, I'm getting a pretty good exposure. If I zoom in, I can probably zoom into right about there. I only need about 6 feet to read a putt. So say we zoom into there, get a little closer. And I'm just going to click apply. We'll leave this camera window open. It may be that you have to mess with your brightness, saturation, hue sliders a little bit to get your color settings dialed in. Next, we want to get the starting box. The yellow box is our starting box. I like to have the box start all the way on the left side of the window. If I have to move the camera, I do. And then our X end, somewhere where we want the putt to be released from, say released from the frame. Maybe I want it to be there. So once the putt leaves the yellow area and goes into the red area, it then deems it as an active putt. The yellow, we'll put it as wide as my hitting strip and narrow it down to here using these sliders, these little X sliders. So now I basically have it in the same area that I hit from. Radius we won't mess with. If you need to flip your image, you can flip it here. If it's backwards, if your camera's mounted the wrong way. If you need to flip the view so that it looks the same way it looks for you when you're putting down the line, like that might look like the direction that you putt, you can also flip that there. So for me, that actually looks like the right one. And then darkness is something we can do to darken the image. That might help with contrast on your ball. But for now, we'll leave this here. I want you to hit the A key to save those settings, lowercase a. If you notice, saved camera settings to the config.ini file for the next time you restart. So you only got to do that once. Next, we're going to hit the D key for debug, which is your mask. And it pops up two windows. It's got these little tracking bars, which this mask, if I overlay it, is exactly my putting area, which is the space between the two yellow lines all the way down the frame. But I'll put that up above so you can see. That's what's going to show us where the color of our ball is at. And these sliders up here are going to tell us where our settings in. This is the default slider settings for yellow. So let me go put a couple of yellow golf balls in there to dial in my yellow setting quick. Okay, if you notice, I like to put 4, 5, 6 golf balls in there so I can see them all the way down the mask. If we look on this one, that mask setting isn't very consistent. What I actually do is I start with these sliders all the way open, the bottom, the left one all the way open, and the next one down. The max is all the way to the right, the min's all the way to the left. And I will actually just start with value, and I'll say if we're considering every color, where do the balls start showing up? That window below my slider right now is your mask frame. We want white on the golf ball only and black everywhere else. So the value slider up, I'm noticing the dark colors are leaving the frame, and I almost can just use value and I'm left with a good mask, but we're not going to do that. So I'm going to start with the value at like 139, 135. Saturation, if I were just to take saturation out, it looks like all the golf balls are at a saturation level higher than, say, 200. And then for hue, if I start to slide the hue down from the max to the left, looks like we can isolate the golf balls. We start to lose the golf ball right about there, so we're at 40 maybe. So we'll do a hue of 40, and if we come up from the bottom, we start to lose the golf ball around 10. So we'll so 10 to 45. I'll bring the value up to 130, I think we said. And I'll bring the saturation up to, say, 200, I think is what I determined earlier. That looks pretty good. Looks like all it's identifying in the mask is yellow golf balls. So to save those settings, I'm going to click in the putting window and hit the lowercase d, which is debug, and it will close and save. And then I'm going to go over to my camera window that's still open here. And as long as I'm getting 60 frames, I'm going to leave it just like it is. And I'm going to hit OK. So now we have webcam putting set up. We have the connector connected to GSPro. We've got the GSPro API window up here on the top right. And in the background, we've got our camera window, which is displaying all of our data for the Garmin R50 when we take a full shot. So if I tab those back on top, we've got our connector, our webcam putting, and our webcam putting status window up top there. So now I want to show you what it's like if we go up to this little settings gear and we just turn on auto start all apps. Yes, we say yes right there. And I click save. With the GSPro path inputted, let's close out of our connector. Let's close out of all of our stuff. And let's go through what the process would be to open up GSPro now using the connector. So the first thing we want to do is open up the camera app. That's where our Garmin R50 is sending the data into. Cycle through till you get to your R50. I already have mine open here. And then next, we're just going to open up our GSPro connector. So I'll double click it. It's going to open up right here. You'll see the status window for webcam putting pop up. You'll see webcam putting open. And GSPro will also open itself up because we put the auto start on. So GSPro opens up. Checking for settings. I'll move that to the other window so we can see everything else. GSPro API opens up and connects. And we're left with a webcam putting window. So now we have our connector, our API. The only thing we need to do is choose on the device the Garmin R50 here and hit select. And now our camera app is going to be in the background. You can see everything is connected on the GSPro connector. The API window is there, and even the webcam status window is up. So let's go move those golf balls and get into practice mode. Go to the practice range and see if this is all up and working. Okay, so you can see the status windows down there. We can then move a ball into the Garmin's screen, hit a full shot. So what you'll notice is on the connector, as soon as you go into putting mode, it's going to select putter. And when it does, you'll see the ball tracking down there in the lower left. Whereas I move it, it picks up a new ball. We can then hit a putt. And we've got webcam putting with our Garmin R50. Now, with webcam putting enabled on our Garmin R50, let's go in and play a couple of holes. Let's play a local match. Let's just do the 3's at Greenville. We'll click play. 4-putt gimmies, Thursday pins, no wind. We'll do Stimp 12 to show you we can handle fast, delicate putts. We'll turn putting assistance on, which helps us with our horizontal launch angle. And putting will be set to normal. All right, so we've got the Springbok Connector hooked up. Webcam putting is enabled and set up. Let's take this for a spin in GSPro and see how it plays seamlessly. Hang on. 12 stemp green's gonna be pretty quick at Augusta. So now we will switch to putter. And when we do that, you're gonna notice the webcam putting just pops up and enables itself. We'll take our yellow ball, which is now tracked inside of webcam putting. And we've got 18 feet here on 12 stemp. Go. Hit a little too soft. See if we can't make the next one. .5'3", delicate little putt here. There we go. So now it transitions back to the full swing. We're using the Garmin R50 as we did before. All of the features of the Garmin R50 are on there. And if we want to look at things like club path, in to out, we can add those on the Garmin R50 display on screen. We can go into here and choose face to target, face to path. All of those are going to be showing up in our GSPro app. We'll play one more hole to give you a feel for how this works. Here we go. 86, down 10. Wonderful. Now we're on the green, and you can see the connector switches us to webcam putting. Put our ball in there. And this putt needs to be hit about 2 miles an hour, 2.5. There we go. Birdie on the second. And there you have it, a fully functioning putting setup that bypasses the Garmin R50's internal feature and brings your GSPro experience to the next level. If this video helped, hit that like button, subscribe for more golf tech tips, and share this video with your buddies. If you have any questions, put them in the comments down below. I can't wait to hear from you, and we'll see you in the next one.